Hello, in this video, I will be discussing who owns the copyright, if anyone, in pictures created by AI art generators such as DALL-E. I am Scott Lesowitz. I am a professional attorney and wannabe musician. A background introduction and a bit of a spoiler. I think that pictures created by AI programs such as DALL-E can potentially be entitled to some copyright protection. However, I think it's going to be dependent on how the pictures were made, how elaborate the process was. The more elaborate, the more likely the image will receive copyright protection. And I think that especially early on, it might take a lot of creativity in the prompting to allow for copyright protection. So it's a pretty standard, uncontroversial legal statement that's been affirmed that the creator of a work, in order to receive copyright protection, must be a human. So in 2018, the Ninth Circuit held that a monkey cannot own the copyright in images that the monkey took of himself. It's the monkey selfies case. And the court actually used the defined term monkey selfies in the opinion. I kid you not. And it's made some news that in 2018, a computer scientist, Stephen Thaler, applied for a copyright application for something he created with AI, and the Copyright Office turned it down because the author has to be human, the creator has to be human. I think it was a bit of a stunt that included his own name. It included the name of the AI as the creator as opposed to his own name. If I created something with a camera or Microsoft Paint, I would list myself as the creator, not Microsoft or I don't know who makes, can they make cameras anymore? I don't know. Let's say Apple, because presumably I use my iPhone. Oh, there has to be some direct human involvement in the creative process for there to be copyright protection. It can't be purely the AI. And that said, the amount of creativity, originality for copyright is fairly low. And so the involvement of human just has to be enough to meet that creativity, originality requirement, which again is fairly low. I think here the best example that attorneys will be using once this inevitably gets litigated is to photography. Photographs are made by machines. The images are made by machines, a camera, or nowadays a cell phone. And yet the courts have consistently, since the late 19th century, held that photographs may be copyrighted. They have rejected arguments that, they're categorically not entitled to copyright protection because the computer did it. The machine did it. And the thing there is that the courts have said, well, there can be copyright because the photographer, made creative decisions about the lighting, when to take the photo, how to take the photo, what to include in the photo, etc., to warrant protection. And so another example that people might point to is that the computer game cases early on, alleged infringers said we didn't infringe the gameplay of a game as opposed to the underlying source code because the player determines what appears on the screen, and the courts rejected that and said no, there's computer plays a role in the how the game is played, what appears, but there's a human who created the images of the background and drew the sprites, etc. That said, if we want to look at this from the perspective of does the creator of the AI ever have copyright ownership and does the user? I think we can kind of knock out quickly the AI. I think based off of what my understanding of how these AI programs work is that the courts would not find that the AI programmers have any type of copyright protection. I think they're going to find the human involvement is too remote because the essentially all they've done, or granted it's huge, it's tremendous, technology is incredible, and et cetera, et cetera. From a copyright perspective, in terms of a single given image, all the computer programmers have done is teach the computer how to go about making a unique picture to a given request, and the computer essentially is on its own. They give it the process to learn, to figure, learn from other pictures and et cetera. But it's too remote to me where a human is directly making, for instance, the sprites on a for a video game, or a photographer is actually holding the camera and making choices on the fly. I think we're too far removed when it's the AI. So what about the users? I think that for users, the answer is likely. I think usually there's not going to be copyright protection, because facts and ideas cannot be copyrighted. Only the original creative ways that they're expressed. But once again, creativity, originality is low, and quality really doesn't matter. But I think that if somebody's just giving the AI an instruction to make a picture of something, or to an idea for a picture, even that's not enough. The user would have to show that he or she gave specific, concrete instructions to the AI program that were fairly elaborate and were essentially non-functional creative choices, and that would make the person more akin to a photographer who's made choices about lighting and perspective and how things will appear, as opposed to just what the subject of the picture will be. So I think in those situations, if the person can show enough creativity, has saved all the prompts, it's possible. It really is possible. Because otherwise, if these images are not copyrighted by anybody, then they're in the public domain, and anyone could use them for any purpose they want. They could even take somebody else's AI images, even ones that are famous, and sell prints of them, use them for thumbnails for YouTube videos, etc. One difference would be, though, that if an image is used for something like a logo, or used as a way to identify a given business or a given product, then somebody else using that for business purposes in a way that might confuse customers about who is providing the services or the product, or what the product is, that would still, even if the images are in the public domain for copyright, still have trademark law implications, and there still could be trademark protection infringement potentially. Okay, I think that's what there is to say about this topic. I think please subscribe. As you can see, I have this nice white background. I spent at least $40 on this video. Please help me recoup that. Also, I have a video about what happens about potential liability if the AI infringed earlier material, and who's responsible for that. So thank you.